right? Let's start with the application where we stopped yesterday. We share my screen. Okay. So yesterday what we have discussed was the step where we have set up the application using Eclipse. And I think I can make it a bit better. Yeah. We have seen that. Set up an Eclipse project with a sample JSP application, dynamic web project. We have also done a proof of concept to display Unicode content in the test project. So that's what we are seeing here. We display here today's date and time. We get to see the Unicode content. We have also seen how to set up a Tomcat inside an Eclipse. And we have looked at the location where the Tomcat is being set up inside an Eclipse as a plugin inside metadata directory. That's where we have the nodes. We have captured that. And how do we enable the UTF feed? Just as a continuation of it, today what we could do, we will bring in the capacity of handling the UTF-8 content from within MySQL. Also, we can look at we have also looked at the servlet. Yesterday we have, I think, seen that, but not in full capacity though. We were able to hit a servlet. HelloWorldServlet. Yep. But I can get it. Okay. Right. That's a URL. Yep. We have seen this as well yesterday. Why? Okay, there is nothing. In this, there is nothing is present. Because we have deleted that, we need to redeploy. So we'll start the server, clean Tomcat work directory, then I'll redeploy, run as server, run on server. So it's going to automatically ask me where I'm deploying it, say finish. So this would eventually bring, here it came, and then here we run this server, so that pattern. Wait, why? Rising. We have the module here as well. JSP Servlet test. This is not great. Refresh. Build a project. Right. Okay. Here is our servlet. We have it, but why this seems to be missing? Tree, nothing gets deployed. So clean it here, fine. So I come back once again, I build it. Sorry. Open the project, by mistake it got closed. All right. I refresh it and I build it. Okay. Again, say run as run server. Same server, we have it. All right. If this keeps coming, it doesn't matter. It is not JSP. This also works fine. This is HTML. This is fine. Here it comes. So now, if you go back, I think it was not properly displayed it. But why I don't get to see this as well? Yeah, here it came. Yeah. Now we see the servlet.class file as well. Yesterday it wasn't probably, I think I haven't properly cleaned. So if you look at it, there is a directory inside our, if you look at PWD, this is the Eclipse workspace metadata plugins, inside which we have WSD server core, where Tomcat instance is present 10.0, and WTP web apps is the location what you have identified from the logs. So let's put here. Now it's perfect. And there are two files. Let me go to JSP Servlet test. This is our project file. There's a command called tree This will clearly give you the contents of a directory in a tree structure. I think it's present in Windows as well. So here you see the .class file. That's a fantastic one, right? So due to which we are able to get down, just to bring back where we were. So servlet JSP servlet test. So we can cover the JSP servlet as well in a bit. Or okay. And then we can come back to the JDBC as well. Maybe let's complete the servlet class. Servlet, how do we work on that, right? Best practices. Basically, whenever we work on a servlet, the default implementation of a servlet is it used to do the do get calling the do post calling the do get. That's fundamentally wrong, because get and post are the two different HTTP verbs which indicate a separate action, different action. Get indicates to fetch the details from the server for a particular resource. What is the status of it, or any resource that is looked up, the client is interested in. Post is something like the client wants to post something back to the server. It could be addition of a form data, inserting an entry, or it could be a form submission. Any information the client wants to submit it, as a result of which, most likely the change in the system, the status of the system will get changed, will get updated. Let's say there are 100 records, and if you're inserting a new data, what is being given from the client will be added back to the server. So that means there is something getting changed. There's something as a result of posting, right? So they are totally two different things. So this is absolutely wrong. We should not be calling post calling get, because these two are totally different actions. The response from the server also should be very different. That's why I've commented it. How do we handle it? We can probably take a look little later. As of now, I'm just putting this as a differentiating output, right? When you call do post, you get this. So typically, how do we do this one-line comment? In general, obviously, I'm gonna give a baby steps so that we can use it for this application using Servlet in JSP. So first thing first, if you wanna deal with a writer, so there is a print writer object. In fact, it got stuck here yesterday as well. See writer response dot get writer. So this is where we get this. Why does it automatically? Okay, print writer. As good as this, we can write this out dot not write. We could call it as out instead of writer, because it's output. So from the response object, we get a writer method, which indeed gives a print stream or print writer reference, which is nothing but a stream or writer using which you can print something back to the client. When you look at the client server perspective, Servlet is a server-side technology. Client is basically from any client, HTTP client, that knows to talk about HTTP protocol, we can invoke it. So web is one channel or agent using which we make a request. We could also make a HTTP client from within Java, or tools like curl, CURL, or Postman, anything. These are all potential agents who know how to talk the HTTP language with the URL being hit. So maybe we can take a look at all these little later, right? How the different clients can potentially help us to talk to the server. So as simple as it, what do we do? Out.write. Here we have a string method. String, yes, any object that you want, right? So what we can write here, request so for HTTP get method, and we can even save the same thing, request dot get context. Okay, just a little bit of change I'm doing. That's it, right? So I obviously, because I made a change, I need to refresh it, build a project. Most likely, you could also do project clean. So this would clean out the workspace content as well. And then if you want, you can do the clean module directory. Just want to take an effort. Automatically the server gets restarted, and you could start it as well. Turn on server. It's already started. That's fine. Module is already again present. Clean this, right? Now let me give this once again, because if I'm running a server, automatically it comes. The HTML file comes here. That's why you see that, right? So let me go back and run this. Now you see this content is served. Request served for, because by default, from a browser, if you don't specify the HTTP method, the default method that gets invoked is HTTP GET. This is not an exclusive or comprehensive HTTP JSP Servlet class, just a refresher or a stepping stone for the application development, right? So HTTP GET, the same content what I've added here, that's what it comes. This is the context path. What is the context path? After this port number, localhost, the host name and the port number, what is the between the two slashes? This is what it's a special value that's called context root that indicates the name of the project that gets deployed. You can see here JSP Servlet test, the name in which the project gets deployed into the container, servlet container. That's what is called context root. It's very sensitive in a Java EE web space ecosystem. You need to understand. You have to be better at it, right? So it's called context root. All right. So this is how we get it. Probably if you wanna take a taste, have a look at the HTTP post, we could very well copy and paste this. But how do we invoke HTTP post, right? We can also have a taste on this, right? What we can do, I would paste the same thing. Instead, I'm making change it as no big deal. Maybe what we can add is, just as always, it's my personal preference. What I can do here, string message equals. You can, I'm interested in adding the latest time in the server. So fine. So what you can do, message equals message plus equal. Because we are writing HTML content, we could add this absolute fundamentals, right? We write a HTML snippet which is given back to the browser. So the line break as well we add. And then what we could do, we put here present server date and time. This bold gets completed. Then what we could add here itself does new Java dot. Okay, as simple as that. Or even better, local date time, you could do that as well. Now, this is since Java 8, we have the improvement to have the latest date time of the server where it is running. So here you write the message. That's same thing. You can copy paste. Here you can right. Instead of this, you take the HTTP post. Just that difference. That's all. How do I really invoke HTTP post? The most basic fundamental thing is you have a form. So let's go to here src main web app where we have index.html. We could have again from HTML also we could invoke it, make HTML form, and the form gets submitted, right? So we could say write this, and we can say servlet HTML. Just have a meaningful name. And here we do servlet test as always test. Then all you need is the HTML form. Very simple, very basic, nothing great. All right. This is the indentation. All you need is you have a button. You can say input type equal to button. Yeah, completely comes. You could say name equal to click me, or any meaningful name you can have it. Value, if you want value, you can. So here, form should take, if you want, give a meaningful name, basically name and ID if you give it, right? It's good to have it, even though it's for a demonstration. You say servlet post test form, just to be really explicit and really meaningful. This is the most important action. So what you need to give for the HTTP action is the form takes an action parameter which will be matching with the URL parameter what you have. we have here? This is URL parameter that you should. So that's all. If button click on it, it will go and hit the servlet. And because, okay, by default here as well, you can, because it's a form and the method is by default post. But here, once again, you can explicitly mention that method equal to post. It is case insensitive because it is HTML. It's a case insensitive. You can type it method and then action, right? Form, we are closing it here. This is the URL, we are typing it, adding it, and it should come. I think that's it. You don't need to, or we can remove this as well by default. Let's see. As always, because I made a change here, let me refresh. Let me build the project. And then I can clean it. You could add a button. That's fine. Button, click me. Let's see how it is going. Clean the module directory once again. Then you run on server. Starter once again. Okay, it came. In the interim, anytime you want, you can check this as well. This is the file. Where is this? Okay, here it is. Servlet posted.html. So you could type this as well. You get to see the contents, right? Here you see it's BAT as a utility. It gives a colorful. So what do I have here? Servlet.html. You have, okay, here I don't get to see the button text. What you can have it. Basically, you need to add a value. So because it is in this, let's reload. It typically comes here. So if you click on it, nothing happens. Why? Because we have added this. Or you could add this as well because it's the same action. Check. We can give this as well and then just this. Yeah. Let's add this. You could also see view page source. What is the action? Here we have this latest. And then why it doesn't? Okay. That post form is closed. Same URL pattern. Does it ever come here? Let's put a system on it. Oh no. Let's put a log. It's very basic stuff. Let me reload this. All right. Start the server. You don't necessarily need to clean the module directly. That's better to do. Build a project. Run on server. This is the server. So yeah. Finish it. Server starts running. Without tree. Yep, that's upper class and HTML. You get this once again. Loaded. Do this. Click me. Nothing gets changed. At least if you click on it. I'm clicking. Do I have any output coming here? Console? No. Surprising. Why? This is the content I have. Right. This itself should help. So using the form and then input I have inside. Definitely, yeah, that's taken care. HelloWorldServlet we have method plus what is that? Wait a second. Okay. I hope this comes right. Get, yeah. Okay. BR, why this BR is not all right. It is slightly deviating, but the BR why doesn't come here because we need to set the content type. How dot response dot set content type using One extra setting we need to do. Refresh, build project. Okay. Server. Server. Finish. It opens the browser automatically. Let's come back here. JSP and HTTP method. Yes, that's not properly cleaned. Clean the work directory. Can we build it now? And because it's a cache gets served. Okay. Fine. Finish. Hold it. What's up, please? Question. Yeah, that's right. Mine. So this should be rendered as it is. Okay, I don't even get the HTML. It's a plain text only. I get it. My decision should be changed now. Why it doesn't? Let me refresh. I would always go clean the work directly. Then server. Yeah, maybe it is having a cache. Look at it. Now it has come as HTML content. So even you look at this in the Google Chrome, more tools. I think there is a cache, that's why it took an effort. So about that. Yeah. Developer tools, you go to here, network, you click on this, there is a request, right? You see preview response. This is the textual response what we get. But when it comes as a preview, the browser renders it. We do have HTML content. So the response wise, what do we get? Text.html. So it is representing the data in the HTML. This is great. So let's go here. Where is my servlet post test? This has come. Me. Surprisingly, this doesn't come yet. So we have this. I would also put this here. And yes, well. All right. Likewise, out.flush is a method which will flush the content into the stream directly. That's fine. Here, what do I have? Let me add this. No, I would need that. Let me check this. Okay. Refresh. Build the project. Start the server. Key model work directly. All right. Build the project. Run as run on server. Next. Yeah. Finish. Automatically it executes and opens up the browser. Yes, we run the browser. We get the latest time. We get this as well. The current system date time 2023-12-1-1645. Morning. All right. Now let's see. I think the URL itself doesn't get changed. It's my bad. Sorry about that. It's not button. It should be submit. Sorry. Should be submit and you just add this. This should help. Yeah. Sorry. That was a typical mistake. Yeah. It should not be button. It should be submit. That is what triggers an event. Click me. So now it takes HelloWorldServlet because as a context root itself. So we need to prefix that with the context root. Here you get it. So you add. Right. Yes. Now we can reload this. Go back this page. If you reload the source, here it comes. Within this context root, we want to hit the URL pattern. So Just reload the page once. Here we go. So this is where HTTP servlet, where we have a get and post methods. And now post method is invoked. Here, if you click on it earlier, when we hit, this is we are hitting directly. I'm typing it manually. Here also there is a same URL pattern if you look at it, but here it comes get, here it comes post. But what is the difference? Here I'm manually typing from the browser. When I manually enter, it always goes as a get method. Even though if you look at it, when I enter it, now it turned as a get method because it's considered as a manually entered by default. That's a get. But when I go back, come back to the form has a post method and click on it. Now the post method is. You see here, there is a console as well. We have to do post import. And what is the time we have? 1:08. So that's the exact time we have. So this is the absolute fundamentals of how do we interact with the JSPs and Servlet. A bit more, if you want to pass on the message from server to JSP, that's absolute round trip. We can cover that. So let's do one thing. This Servlet post test. So what we can do, assuming that we want to return, right, a method, do post itself. If you want to return back to the, this is a direct return to the browser whenever the client hits. But instead, we want to return it to a JSP page rather than having it as this. So what we can do, let me create a JSP page here. I'll say servlet response. That's it. It's from the servlet, I'm getting a response here, JSP, right? Servlet response JSP. So what I'm gonna do, same. Servlet response JSP. As always, I would say server date and time, just to have dynamism. That's it. And then let them be here. All right, but how do I know that whether it's getting a response? Okay, we'll go two step-by-step process, right? First, I want to redirect it to this servlet from the HTTP servlet response. What I can do, let me go here, servlet post test. I can add one more button. Just want to differentiate it. What I'll do, I cannot have two servlets. Okay, that's fine. So if instead of doing this, I can, okay. For now, we have this. Assuming that this is a method, instead of out write, I don't want to write. This is one flavor. Instead, I don't want to directly write. Rather, I want to redirect to a JSP. That's right. So what I do now with this also, I don't need because I'm not handling it directly from a servlet. So what I can do, there is a component called RequestDispatcher. That's in JSP. RequestDispatcher. We have the request from the HTTP servlet request. We get RequestDispatcher, and we need to give a path. That path is where is that we have servlet response by JSP. Then we need to say whether we are forwarding or including. There are two different methods. That's by passing the same request and response object. What we have got. This is again absolute fundamentals of JSP servlet. I'm not getting into too detailed of it. Just a demo we have. Request and then I say forward. And this class needs to be invoked. All right, invoked. So this throws an exception. RequestDispatcher. All right, just get the RequestDispatcher. Then we say all right. Yeah. All right, we get a RequestDispatcher object to where we want to handle it, delegate it, and then we forward it. But before forwarding, okay, this is just a method, right? This message, we will see that a little later. Whenever we get a hit, do post, the servlet will hand over the control to this JSP as a resource, right? Let's see what we'll do. As always, let's build, let's refresh and build. Go to the server, console, stop it. In the module directory, all right. And start the server, run on server, stop, next, finish. Automatically it opens up a browser, we'll close the page. Is JSP, yeah, this is taking the latest. We have seen this, get method works. Here we'll go back. This is the servlet post. We are not doing any change here, just it's the same content. But earlier we were handing the response directly from the server to JSP. Now we are gonna redirect to the JSP page. So click on it. Wait, I think the changes did not take effect. We need to wait for our, I think it's not properly cleaning. Servlet response at JSP we have, this class file is not getting properly cleaned. Not sure why. Let me also remove this module. I don't know. I think it's an Eclipse bug glitch. It's not really reflecting it. Let me run on server once again. Absolutely, this should not happen. I'll run it once again. The last time also we have seen this is sticky nature of it, right? Let me go here. Yep. What is the content we are looking at it? Whenever the servlet hits the do post via form, we are redirected to a response, servlet response.jsp. This is what should come. Servlet response.jsp and the servlet. Yeah, now it works fine. You see, this is another incremental version where from a servlet, you see the URL doesn't get changed. That's again two little bit internals we need to look at it within the servlets. But the servlet does not take care of sending the response on its own. Instead, it redirects to a JSP and the JSP handles the response, right? Handles the data to be displayed. I'll reload it once again. You see here. Now, if you reload it, the request goes back and then comes here 114 time. You see the console, you see every time do processing. I keep hitting couple of times. Why it keeps asking continue, but it is not the case with here. You look at it. I keep hitting, the time gets changed, but it doesn't ask for a confirmation because it's a get method. The browser has already recorded internally that it's a get request. It can be, that's why it's called a safe method. Any number of times you can keep hitting, it doesn't really give you any warning, just keeps hitting that method and gets you the data. Whereas it knows that very clearly we have made a form submission. When you click on it, it says that confirm form resubmission. Hey, it looks like you have already submitted a form and you are now refreshing it. Are you sure you want me to resubmit the form? Because it might potentially create a duplicate entry. Let's say, for example, using a form, you would be creating a data user registration form, for example. The same data can be entered or saved into the system, which may result in a duplicate submission. That's why the browser, acting as an intelligent agent, reminds the user that this form resubmission is going to take place. The page that you are looking for, use information that you entered. Returning to the page might cause any action that you took to be repeated. Do you want to continue? And we are very sure that this time we are not actually doing anything. We say continue. What if we click cancel? Let's say I'll continue once. You see here 115, the time get changed. This is the primary reason I always add the time. If you don't have the date time, this will be a static content. You would never have any clue whether it is really returning a fresh response or it is a same old stale response we see, right? Same old response. You don't have any clue that there is something really happening in the server, right? On the server. That's why I always add a date and time as my personal favorite, my personal flavor as well, just to understand that something is happening dynamic, right? You see here, there's one more in here. Let me do once again. There are 4 do post. I'll hit once again. I say continue. I get the time as well, 11:16. I get one more, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now I say cancel. Nothing gets happened. The form doesn't get resubmitted. The browser itself stops the form to be submitted again. There's just a little hack the browser has, right? So this is what it is. One last thing before we close the session. All right, I'm forwarding a session from Servlet to JSP. What if I want to pass a message from Servlet to JSP, which is also equally, let's say, for example, this comes from, rather than the Servlet is handling it, right? From the JSP handling it directly, let me pass it from the server, right? Instead of doing this, let's assume, all right, If at all you don't know, this is the JSP's comment. So this way it doesn't even, this again, very fundamentals of JSP. So now I don't have anything. Let me resubmit it. So this again internally, because we have seen in the previous video that as a Tomcat instance, we have it. You look at it, automatically the change is right. Tree, you put it. What is the content we want to look at? Servlet response.jsp, right? This is commented out. That's why the content doesn't come. It reflects in immediately. Not all the time. Of course, we have seen sometimes that, it wasn't reflecting, right? But this is a JSP change, not a servlet change, right? Servlet is a .class file. JSP is just a textual file. It gets immediately picked up, right? The change is reflected immediately. I'm continuing. I don't see anything now. See here. But how do I understand? From within the, let's assume I put it here. I reload it once again, say continue. You see one more line came here, but the output doesn't differentiate. Now, I want to pass this message from the server. So what I'll do, I'll have the same message, but I want to send it. Before I forward it, what do? I go here, say, let's say, I want to add it to the request, right? Request dot set attribute. You can do it in session as well. There are different scopes. The easiest and simplest way is a request. So I want to add the attribute. What is that attribute? I'm binding key value parameter. I say message. Then just any key, what is of your interest, but keep it as meaningful. So you understand what are we passing. I am passing a message from the servlet. Servlet is a server-side entity and to the JSP. So JSP is a client-side, which JSP is also a server-side, but the response is being sent back to the client, which is the HTML that we see in the browser. And this message is the actual object that we constructed now. How do I get it in there? So I have our request dispatcher object. I get it. Before I could forward, I set a message, boss, I have a message for you. And this is the key I'm binding it. And this is the actual object I constructed. It can be any object because here I have string, but any object, you see set attribute, you see the syntax is the message key is the name, that's a string, right? You pass a key. Whereas the actual object is an object, java.lang object. It could be any object, could be an employee, could be a list, could be a map, could be a set, or just a string. Anything and everything is an object at the end of the day, right? Except the primitives, yeah, within Java. So I'm passing a message which is getting passed back to the JSP. But how do I get it? This alone does not help. So what do I have it here? Message from the server. I just put it. Then what I do here, let's say I put a line break, and then here, like this is an implicit object, JSP implicit object, where earlier we said set attribute, here we say get attribute. This is more like a common storage within Servlet JSP. This is called a scope. So request scope itself, we have set, that means we have bound. Now we are getting it. See, all it needs is a key in which we have bound that. So let's say we get it. It has to be exactly matching the keys, right? Message. All right. So now, once again, I did a change in the class file. This will reflect, but the class file may not reflect, right? Let me refresh it, go to the console. I'll stop the server. I'll delete the module. It's a bit of an overhead. We have to wait until we come to the world of Spring, right? So where Spring Boot actuator dev tools, which automatically deploys. There are quite a lot of magics happen in the world of Spring, right? In the early years of JSP Servlet, this was how people were actually deployed. This was how they were actually transforming the content from the development workspace to the server's deployment workspace. So let me build it once again, and I take it to the run-on server. All right, I go here. Automatically, the server gets started and the browser gets open. That's a benefit when you do a run on server from within Eclipse, right? Automatically, because we have a Tomcat instance bound as an internal server plugin, so it automatically opens up. And here we have a HTML file. That's why it takes, right? So I close this. Once again, I say the JSP file. Now the time is 122, right? And this already I've tested. Nothing great. I once again go back and then click on it. You see null. Why? because you know the reason. Sometimes it doesn't immediately pick up, right? So we just got to do it one more time. Bear with me. That's the ID glitch, right? Do the clean once again, stop it, then refresh. Just be a bit patient. We have already seen it twice, where the changes reflect after a little while. So I do it once again. Just being optimistic and patience. Patience is virtue, right? You run it once again, potentially, yes, this comes up. Let me go back. This doesn't have any change. The what do you call the servlet post test post.html doesn't have any change. Only from within the server side, once the servlet receives HTTP post request, we are having a difference in the way that handles the response. At first, we were directly sending the response from the servlet to the browser, the client directly by passing the HTML content. Now we have redirected to the servlet from the servlet to the JSP at first step. Then we are also passing a message. So let me click on here. Why it doesn't come? Request.get attribute, set attribute ID. Request.get attribute. Okay, I don't need to echo. This is what it is all about. Message from the message. Is it intact? I made an earlier type mismatch. There's a typo. Just message is what I'm typing message. And it's a scriptlet. So expression I'm typing it. Request. It's an implicit object. I don't need to do anything. Let me do once again. It shouldn't be a great deal. Let me just should give some more time for it. I can even print. Let me see whether it is really taking an effect. When you are in doubt, you could do this. Some print them. Message is the message. Whatever you think. Just in case whether it is reflecting here. Right? Okay. Right. Let's clean the project once. I do refresh. Start this. Clean the work directory. I refresh it again and build it. Then I say start. Run on server. Yep. Next. Finish. All right. It's gonna pick up. It started. This is an instance. The moment servlet is started, it opens up a browser. So console, right? I can clean the console. Go here, JSP test, right? At the time 25/125, right? We come back here, go back so that we get into the HTML. No change here. See, click me. Yes, here you go. Just an ID glitch, guys, right? So you just got to be a bit patient, right? So request from the server. See, you see here, message from the server, and whatever we get is from the server that gets dynamically converted. From the servlet, we send it to the JSP, passed it to the JSP by binding it in the request scope with the key called a message. So the message is a key that bound the actual object. That's a content what you want to serve it. So this is, once again, you refresh. Because it's a form resubmission, it's going to ask the same thing because it's a browser's duty to remind you. We are sure we'll do that. See the time. As always, you see here, we added a quick here. Message what is getting passed, we pass that. What is that? Exact content. Here you see it's BR tags, just a plain text. But when it comes to the browser, how does it understand? Because we say that the response content type, response.content is text.html. So it understands that it's a markup language, and the /br is converted, right, or rendered as a line break. That's why it came to the next line, and we get the contents. So this is the probably the most absolute essential refresher of a basics HTML, JSP Servlet basics, which will be absolutely necessary for us to take a look at the and the further context. When we really get the data from the using the JDBC from the database, what we get it using a servlet, we hit and then get the whatever the data we want to pull it out from the database and prepare an object, send it to the JSP. Obviously, a bit more enhanced version, what we could see, or a different flavor is we could talk about how we deal with a collection of object like a list, which probably we could see on the go, right? So I think that is sufficient enough for us to be clear on the fundamentals. JSP, servlet, what's the difference? and how, say, inter-communication happens between a servlet to JSP. All right. Okay, thanks. Stop the video now. You guys. Yep.